everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Powerful Stuff. Powerful Stuff is your vitamin in the gluten-free vegan ice cream for connecting more deeply to yourself, following your intuition, and also feeling more connected and deeply fulfilled with the relationships around you. It's that outer connection, upward glow. I'm your host, Meredith Baker, leadership coach. I've coached hundreds of people in connecting to their intuition and their power and led thousands of people through experiences doing the same IRL in LA, SF, and beyond. And today I'm excited to go through this journey with you. And this journey was inspired by a few conversations I've had with other people. And it's so funny because I'll have these conversations with clients and other people. And it's also always the perfect reminder for myself because we always need reminders on our upward spiral. A journey of elevation is sometimes coming home to ourselves and coming back to remembering. So, what will you get in this episode of Powerful Stuff, you ask? Today, we are going to go into the journey of right before you expand into the next version of yourself, how the universe always gives you a test. So, if you feel like you've done all this incredible work on yourself, you've had that amazing plant medicine ceremony, you've gone to that incredible reparenting retreat, you finished that coaching container, you've done all the Friday nights in journaling on your highest self, and then you get hit with these tests that make you feel like, did I actually change? Is change possible? This episode is going to remind you that it's normal, and in fact, it's a sign that you're about to have your biggest breakthrough yet. So if you're in this period of uncertainty or darkness or feeling like down and out because you've done all the work and you're like, why does this still happen to me? This episode is for you. And it's going to be a little reminder of the truth that you are on your path. And of course, we're going to hit you with some meditations, some journaling, and some practices to come back to that on an even deeper embodied level. How does that sound? Great. Okay. I thought so too. So I want to go back to this concept. And funny story, I'm on TikTok with the kids, as they say, and I posted about this on TikTok once, and then I did the exact same thing twice, and it went super viral. And I'll kind of tell you that initial clip that I did, and then we'll break it down. But yeah, basically, as I said at the top of this episode, just a mere minute ago, right when you expand right before you expand into the next version of yourself, the universe always gives you a test. It's kind of testing you to see, okay, you say you can operate at that level and you say you're ready for that kind of powerful, intimate, love where you're fully seen, or you say you're ready to have that big platform and have that massive responsibility to guide thousands of people through XYZ. So let me see if you can operate at that level, not just through the good, but also through the bad, the ugly, the hard, the challenging. And so the universe will give you these tests to see, okay, you said you want to be at this cruising altitude. Can you maintain it there even when shit hits the fan? Or as I like to say, to put it in a fun rhyme, shit hits the fan before we expand. So you're doing this. And when you actually when it's so easy to say, oh, no, change isn't possible. These things are happening to me again. And they remind me of what happened to me before I was quote unquote healed, which is also another myth and another story, right? We're always doing the healing, the remembering, the elevating, and the growth, the tilling of the soil never ends. But it's to say, oh, yay, this trigger is coming up. It's an opportunity to make a new choice. It's an opportunity to double down on my self-worth, where I would usually respond or react, right? Reaction is kind of response without that stretched awareness. When I would usually react with this way, which would then reinforce I am not enough, I'm not lovable, I'm not capable. Why does this always happen to me? Instead, I'm going to slow down, notice, okay, this is a test, or this is a trigger. Here's how I would usually respond. What is that new choice I can make that reinforces high self-worth of I am lovable, I am enough? What is this new choice that actually sends a message to my subconscious? Oh yeah, I don't have to go down that road. Or I like to say it's like junk food, because it feels so easy in the moment to have that belief or to react in a certain way, but it's actually choosing the healthier for you option, if you will, that long-term gain of oh, it would feel so good to make this snarky response or to go into this shame spiral. But instead, this trigger's coming up for me to make a new choice. It's an opportunity, and almost to like gamify your life. It's almost to gamify your life and be like, I like to think of it as Mario 64, in Mario 64 and Nintendo, where he has to keep collecting new stars at each level to save the princess from Bowser, the dragon-esque creature. And each level, it gets harder and harder to get these stars. And so it's kind of like, but then it gets more and more rewarding. You're closer and closer to saving the princess. You're stronger and stronger and more adept. And so it's kind of like this when we have triggers as we're on our healing journey. It's not that the triggers will ever go away, they will not, but it's that we'll get better and better at how we respond to them. And isn't that beautiful and powerful? And the more we get better and better at how we respond to them, to finish up the plane analogy, as we keep at that cruising altitude, at this new frequency, with these new choices, with these new empowered beliefs, it's almost like the universe, your higher self, whatever you want to call it, says, oh, okay, I guess you're right. I guess you can operate at this level. I'm gonna release my grip over you. And those things that then were once triggering, like they're barely even on your radar as you keep responding from this new choice. And so it's to be really gentle with yourself when this is happening, because, you've for decades responded in one other way that has reinforced that other belief for decades and decades and decades. So, of course, you're going to have moments where that feels like the easier option. And why that happens is like that familiarity. And as I've talked about on Powerful Stuff so many other times, you know, like our younger selves, it's familiar for them. It's what's safe. It's what's consistent. It's what's comfortable. They're comfortable in that lower cruising altitude. Even if intellectual you is like, I'm ready to expand. I'm ready to have that powerful love. I'm ready to be in that powerful position in my job or whatever it might be. I'm ready to have like incredible friends who inspire me. The younger version of you might feel unsafe because it's unfamiliar and maybe you don't have an open communication channel with them. So that's where the self-sabotage comes in. That's where we end up doing the things of like, why did I do that again? Fuck, because our inner child is like trying to keep us at this lower level because they're afraid of what it will mean if we expand. So how do we combat this, you ask? Well, these are all good things. I have like so much to say on this topic. It's crazy. So, firstly, it's to acknowledge that fear as it comes up. Carolyn Elliott always says fear is excitement without the breath, meaning when our mind is moving so fast and we're like, what comes next? What comes next? What comes next? And it all feels unfamiliar. Again, it can be like our inner child being like, does my older self have me? Can I trust them? So it's slowing down, step one, and acknowledging your inner child. What are the fears? How are they feeling? Let their fear speak, right? Just acknowledge them. That makes sense. That is scary. And then the second step is like reminding yourself of all the times that it was scary before, or you've broken old beliefs before, and you can do it again. If you've broken old beliefs before, calling those things to surface, calling them back into your memory and reminding yourself of just how powerful it was to break those old beliefs. And then the third step, and this is like something that I love doing, I do it with all of my clients in the upgrade and all of my one-on-one clients, is mapping out your belief around it, your feedback loop. Okay, this is the feedback loop, and I like to do it in a clockwise motion. A feedback loop is a pattern that we keep repeating over time, and it's kind of reinforced, or it's governed by a belief, which kind of is like an Instagram filter of our world. So if we're governed by the belief I am not enough, we will keep looking for instances and situations to reinforce that belief. So it you can map out, like, here's how it would usually play out. If the belief is I am not enough, we put that at 12 o'clock. What is the trigger? The trigger is at 3 o'clock. Maybe it's like a friend doesn't invite me to their birthday party. And then what is the emotional story that you go into when you believe you're not enough? And you put that at 5 o'clock. Maybe it's like, I'm not worthy. I don't belong. This always happens to me. Like, why does everybody hate me? And then what is your reaction? Maybe your reaction is like you send the friend a passive aggressive text, or you try to like weasel your way into the birthday party to prove that you're enough, but it's kind of like off-putting to the friend. And then that's like your reaction, right, at 7 o'clock. And this is just all extrapolation, guys. It's just what we call an example. And then and so your reaction or thought process might be different for this situation, but to give it to you kind of laid out. And I've literally gone through this one because like being not enough, as we all deal with, this is like a pattern that would come up for me in the past when I felt like left out of things. And yeah, anyway, so the reaction you put at 7:00, which might be like you send the person a passive aggressive text, or you try to like weasel your way into an invite, kind of thinking about you and proving you are enough versus like respecting that friend's wishes or being curious, or maybe just like offering it to go on a delightful beach walk with them instead. Then 9:00 is like the reaction to that, or like the outcome to that, which might be like they pull away because they feel like awkward or uncomfortable or cornered. And then the aftermath of that, which you can put at like 10 or 11:00, is like then you feel even more abandoned and awkward and alone and withdrawn. And then that reinforces 12:00 of I am not enough. So now that we kind of have that stretched awareness of the old pattern that you would go into, then you can ask yourself, okay, so I see that that is how I would usually respond in the past. And now, yay, this trigger is coming up again. And that's another thing I want to emphasize of like celebrating when a trigger comes up, because that means that it's a moment to remind yourself and acknowledge yourself of all that you're already doing and all that you've already done and all that you will do. And to remind yourself that it is time to reinforce these tools, that there's a deeper level of healing or exploration that can be uncovered that's going to serve you in expanding on your rocket ship in this next level. So on the other side of that, it's re-envisioning the scene, but how this new you with this empowered belief responds. And we've done these meditations before on powerful stuff, and we'll do a little iteration of it today of like the recycling meditation, which shout out to Hoffman, is like one of my favorite tools from Hoffman. And you re-envision it of like, okay, who is that version of me who does know she's enough, who does know she's so freaking capable, who belongs and all the things. So in the feedback loop of the positive feedback loop, you'll put I am enough at the top at 12:00. And then you'll go to 3:00 of the trigger, which remains the same because the trigger is the same across the boards, whether it's positive feedback loop or negative feedback loop. It's just how you respond to it that's different. So the positive feedback loop is so the trigger remains the same. The friend doesn't invite me to the birthday. Then at 5:00, you write the emotional story. The emotional story is that, I'm curious why I wasn't invited. So I like to think of the emotional story when you know that you are enough, like infused with way more curiosity and compassion for the situation. So I'm curious why I wasn't invited. Have I been showing up for this friend? Is that a friendship that I genuinely want to invest in, or one that I feel slighted because I wasn't invited, but I haven't really been putting in the effort, or maybe it's like, well, I haven't been honest with myself about wanting to be friends with this person, or just about the effort I'm making. So curiosity, right? Or I'm curious, like I did think we were good friends and I do enjoy them. So maybe like kind of, yeah, being curious, reinvesting in the friendship, or, in a future hang, having a chat about like what's coming up for them. Sorry, guys, a little helicopter flew over just then. That's the joy of the Venice Beach Symphony, if you will. So after that curiosity, your action might be to just invite the friend to like a low key hang with no strings attached, not guilting them, but just like showing up for them, or getting them like your own little like birthday card and just giving it to them, zero pressure, like after their birthday thing, so they don't feel like you're guilt tripping them or anything. Or it might be having a curious conversation with them, or it might just be like reassessing like how you feel in the friendship and like how you want to continue to invest in it. Those are all possibilities for the response. And then the outcome of that, let's say the outcome of you going on a walk with them or hanging out with them like after their birthday, that the outcome could be like you both feel reconnected to each other, and it feels like, the birthday party was kind of like a catalyst for that, but you also are accepting and understand why they didn't invite you. They don't feel cornered. It just was like a really nice catch up. And they're also probably internally grateful that you didn't make them feel awkward for that, because maybe they were feeling, some type of way about it. So you feel closer, you feel good because you took action on it. So the aftermath of that might be you feeling empowered and connected, which then reinforces the belief, I am enough. Ding, 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 ding. Yay. We did it. So all of that's to say, these are tools that you can use to re-envision, like, what is my highest self in this situation? How would they show up and how would they respond? And then the like last final step is actually like actioning on that. And sometimes the actioning on it is the hardest part, right? Because it's like the unfamiliar next step or existing in the gray area. And so that's why it's so freaking important to acknowledge your younger self, to let them know that they are safe with you, to let them know you love them unconditionally, even if like so and so doesn't respond well or rejects them. And I like to say, as I've said many times in Powerful Stuff, rejection doesn't exist. It's just a redirection. And so letting your younger self know that even if it's scary, awkward, uncomfortable, that you will be okay, that they will be okay. And I actually made a little reel about this on Instagram this week with the analogy of a hermit crab. Like when a hermit crab's in its shell, it feels like nice and cozy, but then as it starts to grow and expand and do the work, or yeah, hermit crabs doing the work, powerful hermit crabs. They're like, I just got back from my plant medicine ceremony. Anyways, as a hermit crab grows, it gets tighter in its shell and it starts to feel like, oh my gosh, it's time to leave the shell. I'm getting cramped. And the hermit crab must shed the shell and literally be so naked and vulnerable as it goes to find the bigger shell, right? And it's like a moment of trust because it doesn't necessarily know where that bigger shell is. It has to walk around naked where it's like prone to attacks, but it must leave in order to grow. And that's kind of like what we're doing here. It's like you have to kind of leave that comfortable yet cramped shell of those old beliefs, even though intellectually you can be like, I hate feeling like the victim. I hate feeling why me. But then if we keep believing that and choosing that and eating that junk food, the shell is going to feel even more and more and more and more cramped. So we have to almost like remind our younger self, you got this. It's going to be uncomfortable. We are going to be naked. I'm not lying about that. It will be a little scary and we're going to do it anyways. And I'm going to be with you every step of the way and giving them that reassurance. And then you can also call in your highest self, like yourself on the other side of that transformation, looking at them in your visioning. How do they feel? How do they act? How do they respond to these situations? Kind of like what we did in the feedback loop and what we'll do in the meditation. And then you kind of can ask your highest self for a piece of advice, a piece of knowing as you step into this next scene. And so with your younger self, with your highest self, you step out of that old, tight shell. You walk feeling naked and exposed, but trusting that you all have each other. And then you eventually find that bigger shell. And the bigger shell might feel a little awkward at first, right? And that's where like our imposter syndrome might come in. It might feel a little awkward and big, and we haven't yet grown into it. And do we deserve to be here? But as you keep showing up as that version of you, you'll keep growing into it, and you keep hitting that cruising altitude. And how powerful is that? So all of that's to say, guys, it's truly like a crazy journey to be in the growth journey, and you almost never want to get like, or you just want to get comfortable in the discomfort, I guess is what I'll say. And like different ways to make these transitions easier is, like I said, giving yourself acknowledgement, letting yourself know that you're there for you no matter what, reminding of yourself all the times you've done scary things before and you can do it again, and mapping out these feedback loops and giving yourself a powerful vision of how to actually like step into that next version of you. But it's very true that like, the greater the resistance, the greater the awakening, the more we're kind of feeling tested by these triggers, the more it's our highest self like phoning us, calling us, pinging us that it's time to grow. It's time to make a new choice, because the triggers are going to happen anyway. So we might as well choose our response so we can use them to grow versus use them to like kick us when we're down. It's like, yeah, actually converting them into rocket fuel. And Lacey Phillips, who runs To Be Magnetic and is like a manifestation thought leader, calls this period the magic dark. And the magic dark is when you feel like you have been doing all the work and you're either like really getting tested by like, maybe if you want to call in a partner, you're really getting tested by like going on really shitty dates or feeling like kind of rejected. Or maybe you like have no dates at all and it feels like a freaking desert and you're like, I am so thirsty for some options or hope, you know? And the magic dark could also be like career wise. Like maybe you feel like you've been putting in the work and time and you really feel like disrespected or not valued in your career, or like the job options feel really bleak, but you know you're meant for something more. And so it's in these magic dark moments where it would be so easy to give up and put your hands in the air and just say, like, I guess change isn't possible. It's actually when you double down and you trust, even when you have no external evidence that change is on the horizon, you internally trust, because trust only exists in times of uncertainty. When you internally trust and you keep putting one foot in front of the other, and I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I will. We can and we will. That is when the shift happens, because you're shifting your internal world, you're shifting your belief, you're learning to trust yourself in the gray area, and that is when change becomes inevitable. And like Tony Robbins, I think, also referred to this as like readjusting the course with like a ship, a large ship. Like they kind of like turn the steering wheel and set their sight on the new horizon, but then it takes that lag time, you know, that angle of the ship slowly angling toward that new North Star to get there. You can't like make a hard left, like the ship will topple over. So it's like having your sight set on that vision, acting as if, and then trusting in the lag time. But so often when we get impatient, we don't trust in the lag time. That's where we can continue to stay stuck and view what could be like great lessons and opportunities for growth as like reinforced reminder of like how not enough we are. So all of that's to say, if you are feeling like you have, you know, really put in the work or time and things keep happening to you, and or maybe you felt like you were on the verge of a breakthrough and then like shit is hitting the fan, I am here to tell you that this is actually your wake up call of like you are about to shift in a big way, and this is the moment when the shit's hitting the fan. This is the moment to double down and say like, yes, I deserve this. I'm putting my stake in the ground. I am safe to be in this gray area. I will continue to show up as my highest self, even if it's hard, even if I'm like in my feels, right? It's okay to feel the feels, to release the anger, to release the sadness. I encourage it. And then come back to, how is my highest self showing up? And having so much compassion for the past and the present and the future version of you who's continuing to show up through this. And that is so powerful. And another powerful tool on the opposite side of that, and then we'll go into a medi and just sum up all of these steps. But another tool on the other side of that is acknowledging the cost. Acknowledging the cost if you don't change. Acknowledging the cost, like if you keep believing that you don't deserve that powerful love. How will the 80-year-old you feel? Like sad, bitter, alone? Like really take it to like rock bottom of like, if you let that more limiting belief control your life decades into the future, how will that affect you? How will that affect your relationships? How will that affect like how you feel on your deathbed? And really acknowledging the cost can honestly be a bitter pill of like, wow, I really can't afford not to, you know? And I love and I forgive myself for holding on to that belief, because it kept some part of me safe at some point in time. And now is the perfect time to change. And I'm not going to like beat myself up for how long it took to change or that I didn't see it sooner, because it was all building to now. And I trust in this perfect moment. And it's almost like really saying that to yourself, like fake it till you make it, to like take that next step forward, because as soon as you take that step that breaks the feedback loop, you get a new data point, and that new data point forms a new like connection in your brain that then forms over time new habits, which then form new beliefs, which then change the filter of your world, and it changes your world, and it's so freaking powerful. And that, my friends, is powerful stuff. Wow. So all of that's to say, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, why me, or Mercury in retrograde, but it's going on forever, know that this is your sign. This is your sign. This is your sign that things are about to change in a big way for you. So buckle up, acknowledge yourself, give yourself all the credit for all the hard work you've been doing. Give yourself compassion for all the times that you felt like life was kicking you down, and give yourself trust, knowing that things are about to shift and that you're ready for it and you're ready to double down, even if it feels scary, even if, you fall the first time. I like to say the shell must break before the bird can fly. Like, it's going to be scary. It's going to be uncomfortable. Like, just like a little birdie learning to fly, it might fall at first, but that's how it gets its wings. So trusting in that for yourself, knowing you've done it before in your life and you can do it again. And each time brings you higher and higher on your upward spiral on your cruising altitude. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and find a comfortable seat. And we'll go ahead and take a deep breath in through our nose. And just open mouth, sigh it out. Maybe even fluttering your lips. Let's do 2 more like that with a lip flutter. I feel like it's a good release for any tension or anger that was coming up around our own stagnation or magic darks. Breathe in. Exhale, let it out. And then third and deepest breath in. Exhale, flutter your lips. And as you take nice, slow breaths, we're just going to acknowledge the negative feedback loop for a second. These things that kind of keep kicking you down, making you think, why me? Or is change possible? Or maybe I don't deserve this all-inspiring love. Or maybe I don't deserve to wake up every morning and get paid to do what I love, whatever it is. And like maybe bringing to mind a few of those tests or triggers that have been happening where you've chosen to kind of fall to the belief of not feeling worthy. And just noticing how you feel when you believe that. Noticing how you feel when you believe that. Noticing how that kind of dampens your view of the world. And in that dampening of your view of the world, noticing how that affects your other relationships and friendships. Noticing how that affects how you speak to yourself, what you believe is possible for yourself. And then almost zooming out into the future, noticing your 80-year-old self who keeps believing this. Noticing the heaviness that they carry. Noticing all the moments they've robbed themselves of in life. And just asking them, what do they regret the most? What do they regret the most about holding on to this belief? If they could go back and tell that you where you are in present day, if they could give them one piece of advice, knowing what they know, what would they tell you? And as you feel the weight of that, go ahead and place your hands where that weight feels most present. And breathing into the weight of that, like you're breathing into a deep, dark tunnel. Like you're tracing the tunnel all the way down into the deepest depths of you, where you come to this kind of dead end and you see your younger self. Your younger self, you just see them scared, maybe afraid to expand. And just asking them why. Why are they afraid to expand? What comfort do they get from holding this belief of inadequacy? Trusting whatever they say. And then thanking them. Thanking them for sharing that. Acknowledging that that does make sense. It is scary. Then reminding them of times that you've done scary things before, times where you've shed old beliefs and it's actually worked out, and how empowering and good that felt on the other side, giving them that reminder. And as you remind them of that, just asking them what they need from you to feel safe, to enter into this new unfamiliar territory with you. What do they need from you? Letting them know that you can do that. And then as you hug them, feeling your hearts beat side by side and allowing it to dislodge all of this heaviness that you've been carrying with this belief and pulling it out of your body like you're extracting tar from your body. Pulling it out, pulling it out, pulling it out until you're feeling the weight of this old belief all extracted in your hands in front of you. And then go ahead and start to rub your hands together, feeling the heat of that transformation into this new, empowered, beautiful belief. Rub, 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 and then open your hands up, seeing this beautiful new energy that's been created. This new essence that represents your most empowered, highest self. Go ahead and place that energy back on the part of your body where the old belief left. Breathing it in until every cell of your body feels connected to your truth, to your highest, most empowered self. Letting that lift your chest, lift your throat, lift your heart, bring a smile to your lips. And as you feel rooted in yourself, then go ahead and look at these triggers that have happened recently, but seeing them with this new lens of knowing that they're happening for you. They're calling you to your highest self. They're calling you to your growth. They're calling you to claim your deservingness, your worthiness. Noticing how your highest self interprets them with curiosity, compassion, excitement to make a new choice, excitement to breathe into the uncomfortable feeling of growth. And how does your highest self respond? How does this then shift the scene and lead into this beautiful positive ripple effect? And how does that trust within yourself then deepen your relationships? How does it deepen your relationship to yourself? How does it deepen what you feel possible professionally or in your purpose? And then see this rippling out, almost like you can see it touching the decades and ahead of you. Seeing glimpses of your future life, going through life with this beautiful, empowered filter, this true and new belief. And then zooming all the way into the future till you see your 80-year-old self who's been embodied in this empowered belief, noticing their wise essence and energy. And then asking them what becomes possible when you believe this instead, when you step into this belief. And then what becomes possible, feeling that within you right now, like a spark of magic that's been ignited, and asking them for the perfect next step. What's a perfect thing you can do to step into this, to break that old feedback loop? Letting them know you can do that. Trusting it, taking a deep breath in. Open mouth exhale, sigh it out. And then another deep breath in. Exhale, bringing that possibility into the present moment. As you exhale, open your eyes, coming back into this space. Welcome back. So proud of you. We moved through the darkness together. We now see the light path on its way. And my wish for you is that you feel really excited and empowered and energized, knowing that if these things are testing you, that it's a sign that you're being called to your highest self. And it can show up in different ways, right? It can be like literal tests of things kind of keep knocking you while you're down, or things that are perceived as rejections, right? It can also be perceived as things feeling like a desert of like, there's no good people to date in this city or whatever, and like believing that it's not possible in that ways, in that way, in the way that you speak about it. And maybe you're not like being directly like prodded, but it's like the way you speak about it in this belief that it's like a desert. Or maybe it's this feeling that like, oh, this could never happen to me. Like I'm seeing it happen to all my friends, but it could never happen to me. And that also is a sign, like actually in the positive sense of like, wow, you're surrounded by so many people who have this success or who have this type of love, that it's actually a universe saying it is possible for you. You're vibrating on this frequency if you choose to believe it so. And you have all these great data points now to help guide you and light the way. So whatever it might be you're believing or you're ready to believe, remember, number one, the fact that these things are triggering you means that it's like an alarm bell from your subconscious of like, okay, time to make a new choice, time to make a new choice. And also time to acknowledge ourselves, like, and remind ourselves that we've got it. Number two, feel the feelings, right? The grief, the sadness, the anger, let it out. Maybe you box some time to be like, I'm going to let myself have like a bathtub cry or like a little bash session where I scream into my pillow. Number three, write out those feedback loops. How does the old me respond? What does the new me who's living life through these empowered beliefs do? And can I take a step toward that? And then, of course, within all of that, you can acknowledge all the times that you've done it before and you can do it again. And the key is to being curious and compassionate with yourself. Even if you catch yourself on the other side of the negative feedback loop of, fuck, I know I reacted and that was my shadow self wanting to keep me safe, to be like, okay, well, you know what? This time, at least I acknowledged it and I was aware of it. Next time I'll get better at catching it when it's actually happening. And so it's never a sunk cost. It's all part of the journey. And I want you to know that you are on the verge of a breakthrough. Keep going. You are so enough. You are so capable. You are so lovable. And this is an exciting opportunity to walk the fire, to put that to the test, to walk the walk. You've got this. You are the powerful stuff. And I will see you next week for more powerful stuff. Hey, you. Thank you for coming on this powerful journey with me. I hope it was as powerful for you as it was for me. And if it was, it would mean the world to me if you rate, review, and subscribe to Powerful Stuff so I can keep bringing you the goods. We can keep going on this transformative journey together. And if there's powerful stuff that you want to share with me, with the Powerful Stuff community, tag us on Instagram at That's Powerful Stuff or The Meredith Baker. And I look forward to seeing you next week for more powerful stuff.